The world is full of things you didn't even know you needed to know. But don't worry, by the time I'm done, you'll be in the know. Welcome to this episode of If You Don't Know, Now You Know. Today, we're going to be deep diving into what it's like to live in Luxor, Egypt for 1 year. Today's special guest is my wife, Kaylee, and we're going to be telling you everything you need to know about living in Egypt. Get your falafels ready. If you don't know, now you know.
Hello. Hello.
All right. Thank you for liking and subscribing to our channel, and let's get into the question and answer. You ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
Let's do this.
All right. Today's video is everything that you need to know before you visit Egypt.
Everything.
How long were we in Egypt?
1 year in Luxor, in the West Bank of Egypt.
And we did a little traveling around as well. Went to Cairo a couple of times. Went to Aswan.
Aswan, yep.
Abu Simbel. We got around.
It was quite an experience. Check out some of our videos so you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, we really did a bit of everything. Did a lot of living, you know?
Lots of living.
And lots of sightseeing too. So I think that we probably have the answers to the questions you have about whether you should visit Egypt and what being in Egypt is going to be like.
Yes. Are you ready to go to Egypt? Because if you're not, this will definitely prepare you.
All right, we got some questions. Frequently asked questions about travel in Egypt. Let's go with the first one. Is it safe?
Is it safe? Now, depending on who you are or what you do in life, anything can be dangerous. If you stick to the rules of the land and the locals will usually lead you to where you need to be and where you should not be, you should be pretty safe. We travel with kids, so we always prioritize safety first in an environment. And since we're slow travelers, we want to take the time to make sure that our environment is just right. So safety in Egypt, yes, it is pretty safe. As Americans, we actually get an armed guard to go with us to each of the temples if we want. We just go request this. So that is something you can do if you don't really feel safe. You can have someone come with you with an Uzi and a suit and escort you around the temples. Keep your backpack, if you have a backpack or a shoulder bag or something, right on your front side instead of putting it on your back. That'll avoid any pickpocketing and theft. But at the same time, you have to...
Here's my succinct answer. Is Egypt safe? We felt very safe. Egypt, has had a somewhat tumultuous past in the last couple of decades. But because of that, they now place even greater emphasis on really making sure that foreign tourists are well guarded, well taken care of.
Uzi.
I don't know about that requesting a guard everywhere you went, but when we went to visit more remote sites, we were given a police escort because there weren't a lot of tourists there, and obviously it was very important for them that we were kept safe.
Abdul said just ask and they'll bring the guns for you.
Okay. We never tried that, so I don't know.
Is it safe for women traveling alone?
All right, so this trip, I was not alone. I was with my husband, I was with my kids. So during this, I didn't have that woman alone experience for the majority of the time. I have traveled alone as a woman. I actually love traveling alone. I think it's great fun. And I also did plenty of excursions where I went out and visited sites. So I did have experiences of doing it alone. So what I would say is that Egypt is safe, but like most places in the world, when you're traveling as a single woman, it can be a little uncomfortable. There is something of a mentality that a woman without a husband is looking for a husband. When I travel alone anywhere in the world, I feel safer if I'm not out after dark and if I dress a little more conservatively. All right, do you remember what the visa process was?
Yes, call Abdul.
We are going to link to our amazing host, Abdul, who's taken care of us both times we've been to Egypt. He is phenomenal, and he definitely helped us with visa extensions.
Do I need a visa to visit Egypt?
Yes. Most nationalities, most passport holders will require a visa to visit Egypt, but it is very simple for the majority of passport holders. Most passport holders can get a visa on arrival. It's $25 US. Some of the terminals have an ATM, but your best bet is to come bearing $25 per person to pay for the visa fees. We did find a counter that accepted credit cards as well, but really your best bet, from what we've heard from multiple travelers, is to have those $25 in hand ready to pay that visa fee. And that initial visa is going to give you 30 days in Egypt. There is a process for extending the visa. We were able to extend it twice. So the first extension takes you to 6 months, so it's a 5-month extension. And then the second extension was for the full 6 months. The extension cost about 1,700 Egyptian pounds, and it was a little bit involved in terms of you need a lease, you need to have the lease translated into Arabic, you need to have the lease certified by the local government agencies, and then you need to take those and your passport photos and copies of your passports and visas to the passport office. I will say that most of those passport offices do usually have a service to take some passport photos, to make photocopies, so you can probably do a lot of that on site in the office.
Or you can ask Abdul.
Some nationalities are not eligible for the visa on arrival, so make sure that you check that before you come. You might need to apply online in advance, and of course you're going to want to leave yourself time to do that if you need it. All right, my next question was, can I extend my tourist visa?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the details that I just went into, where you can extend. I have heard that different visa offices extend in different ways. So we extended at the Luxor office. We found the process reasonably simple with the assistance of our local contacts. And we were able to extend that out for the 12 total months in Egypt. They won't give you an extra day though. Like, it's 6 months, that's it. The extension is 6 months.
6 months!
We asked for an extra couple of days to stay for one of our kids' birthdays, and they were like, you will need a whole new visa extension for that, even though it's just those, I think it was 3 extra days or something.
3 days.
So no, 6 months, that's what your extension is.
That's it.
All right, let's see what we got next. Can you drink the tap water?
Yes, of course you can drink the tap water in Egypt. It's up. No. You cannot drink the tap.
Do not drink the tap water.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. It's not good. They have taps everywhere, and you see the locals drinking it, but their bodies are used to those kind of microorganisms. Is that the right word?
I think so. I think that's gonna,
It's in the water, and whatever's in the water, they're used to. So I would say make sure you get bottled water.
Which was readily available everywhere.
Or you get, we bought this electric water pump dispenser for the big jug of water, and we had that. But again, all of the water that we drank was always bottled water of some sort.
Yeah.
Brushing your teeth won't be a problem with the local water you have in your house and like that, unless you drink your toothpaste water. Don't do that. It's disgusting, first of all. Brush your teeth. You're not an astronaut. You can spit. What are the toilets like in Egypt?
So obviously it's gonna vary, but at most tourist spots, you're gonna find a clean toilet with attendants. You will need to pay. It's a nominal fee, 5 or 10 Egyptian pounds.
Yeah.
And when you give them those 5 or 10 Egyptian pounds, that's when they're gonna hand over the toilet paper.
Yes.
So most toilets in Egypt will have a butt hose. So if you are comfortable cleaning your bottom that way, you can use that.
I think there's a more professional term for that.
A bidet? I don't think it's a bidet though, because a bidet is already
Yabba dabba.
butt hose.
Today's word of the day is butt hose.
How many times can we say butt in one video? All right, so like anywhere in the world, carry a little thing of tissues in your bag in case there's no attendant or in case they're out of paper or whatever. You always want to have some tissues or some wet wipes in your bag. You may find yourself in some spots where you do need to put the tissue in the waste paper bin rather than in the toilet itself, so just be aware of that. It's not a big deal. You will then go and wash your hands well for 20 seconds and then you'll be on your way.
After you use the butt hose.
So the paid toilets usually kept very clean. That's what the attendants are there doing, making sure that they're very clean. And most of those paid toilets will be seated style toilets that you're used to if you're coming from the US or Australia. They're in more local places. You're going to see more of the squat style of toilets. So, work on your squats.
Squatty potty.
If you're going to be going a little off the beaten path.
And hopefully they have a butt hose.
Yeah, if they don't have a butt hose, they're going to have a bucket and a bucket of water and a scoop, and you can flush the toilet that way. All right. How's the food?
How is the food? The food in Egypt is great.
All right. What I wanted him to say there was, yes, the food is good, but there's not a lot of variety. So outside of Cairo and Alexandria, and to some degree the Red Sea coast as well, you're not going to see a lot of variety in the menus. You are going to pretty consistently be able to find French fries.
French fries.
Usually some kind of spaghetti or pasta dish.
Pasta, pizza.
And a pizza. So basically anywhere you go in Egypt, those are probably if you have some kids on a bland food diet, those are probably the three staples
French
you can
fries,
find
pasta,
anywhere.
pizza.
Yeah, otherwise the food, delicious, but a little unvaried. So, be prepared to enjoy your moussaka, enjoy your falafel, because you will probably be eating it for the majority of your stay.
Yes. Falafel.
Yeah.
Am I going to be harassed for money?
The easy answer here would be yes, but it's not really that simple. Tipping or bakshish is part of the culture in Egypt.
Bakshish.
And you find a lot of tourists feel quite resentful of it, but you don't have to take it that way. If you instead just have a pocket full of small change, and when you have a guardian at one of the tombs, one of the temples, somewhere you're visiting, someone who helps you with something, you give them, one of these smaller denominations of Egyptian pounds, and you be grateful for the service that they've provided, maybe the photos they've taken, maybe the sometimes correct, sometimes incorrect information they give you about the site you're visiting.
Yes.
And you just factor that into your budget for your holiday. These are not large amounts of money. 50 Egyptian pounds is less than $2. So my biggest advice around this bakshish is not to feel resentful. Obviously, you don't have to give money to everybody that asks, but if you're in a place and the guardian's taking you around, showing you some things, maybe offering to take some photos, give him a little bakshish. It costs you almost nothing, and it makes a big difference to their family. And it's just part of the culture. They're not trying to swindle you. This is a normal part of their culture, is that someone provides a service, you give them a little bakshish. It doesn't have to be something that derails your holiday. Now, the other thing to note, the other group of people that are going to be asking you for, the other group of people that are going to be approaching you are souvenir salespeople.
Yes.
And here, it's totally up to you what you're wanting to purchase. One thing to note is that if you give them attention, they're going to think that that's an opening to start the bartering process.
So don't go looking at their items that they have if you have no intention of buying.
Right, because then they are going to, keep trying to barter with you, keep trying to see if they can get to the price point, that you're both going to agree on. Egypt has amazing souvenirs, like really phenomenal, beautiful
Yes.
things. So, the same way that you would with the bakshish, factor in some budget to buy some of these gorgeous souvenirs, know what you're willing to pay, and barter. They're absolutely open. They're absolutely open to bartering. So, offer what you're willing to pay. If they're not willing to sell for that amount, you can move on to someone else, or you can reevaluate whether that is actually the value of the item. It's another area where you can feel frustrated, or you can just see it as part of the experience.
I hear some people saying, oh, they keep bothering me, they keep harassing me, they keep asking me for money. Again, it's not like that. They're just trying to make a living. Now, if you have kids, buying these little trinkets and stuff is really cool, and you'll be often asked by little kids to buy a magnet or a alabaster cat or something like that. So again, have a little bakshish ready just to tip for anything or to buy a little souvenir.
Yeah, I try not to buy directly off the kids who should be in school at the time that you're seeing them. I don't like to encourage the kids to think that they need to make a living being out of school. Obviously, it'd be better if they're in
for
school.
the children.
Yeah, so, finding a different way to help, donate directly to the local schools or something is a better way to support the local kids than to encourage them to, miss school to try and earn money. One piece of advice Abdul gave us is to say what you mean. So if you do not want a boat ride, don't say maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't say I'll think about it.
No.
Because to them, that's an opening to ask you again. They don't every day. So,
do you want a boat ride today? Do you want a boat ride today? Do you want a boat ride today? Do you want a boat ride today?
So, if you do not need a boat ride, say La shukran.
La shukran. La shukran.
Yeah, which is no thank you. Don't try and fob them off with polite things. They don't see it as polite. They see it as you asking them to ask you again tomorrow.
Yes.
So if you don't want to be asked again tomorrow, say
La shukran.
What should you wear in Egypt?
What should you wear in Egypt?
As a man?
As a man, I would say, I wore a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops for almost a year. It got cold a few nights, but for the most part, you're in Egypt, you're in a desert. It is hot all the time. Again, there's a few nights that it gets a little windy and cold and you get that desert wind, but if you're there in the winter time, you're gonna wanna bundle up just a little bit at night. We actually lit a fire every night for like 2.5 months. My neighbor and I, not my wife and I, we don't light fires. But our neighbor would light a fire, I go to his fire every night and we just hang around the fire and teach me a little Arabic, this and that. But they were bundled up, so they had their, what's it called? Jalabi. They had their jalabia on, a head wrap, and a scarf on with thermals on under that and socks.
In the winter.
In the winter. Other than that, as a tourist, you're gonna probably wanna wear something casual and something cool. As respect for everyone, you don't wanna wear necessarily like tank tops or go shirtless somewhere. It's not a tropical resort. If you're in a resort, somewhere in like Marsa Alam or something like that, then it's okay to wear your shirt off and tank tops and feel free and everything like that. But when you're in Upper Egypt on the West Bank, that's not gonna fly.
Yeah, and it's pretty disrespectful. I don't think that when you visit a country you necessarily have to wear the same clothes that the people there wear. But if you're visiting a country where literally the only skin you're going to see of the people is their hands and their face, then you exposing most of your skin just isn't respectful to their culture.
Yeah.
So again, even Egyptians aren't expecting you to be covered from head to toe. But the thing to remember is that anytime you visit another country, you're a guest. So the same way that if you were a guest in someone's home, you would pay attention to the societal norms like removing your shoes or washing your hands on entry, whatever it is that that household is comfortable with that you would do as a guest. Similarly, if you're visiting a country, you are a guest in that country, and so you should try and treat their norms with respect. So as a woman, I felt like I was most comfortable wearing something that was at least 3/4 length, so past my knee, and always having my shoulders covered. When we went to the beach, when we went to Marsalam, I felt like I could wear a swimsuit in the resort, and that was fine. But when we were in Luxor, I always had my shoulders covered. I always had at least to below my knees covered. And that felt comfortable, and it also protected me from the sun. I would wear like loose cotton, and that would keep most of the sun off me, so I wasn't getting sunburnt. It was breathable, so that again, that incredible heat that you get there in Egypt didn't affect me as much. So I just think it's paying respects as a guest to cover the shoulders and cover the knees, and I think that that's true for both men and for women.
Yes.
Shoulders and knees covered, and you should be good to go in Egypt.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
No head, no knee. Yes, knee. Okay, so shoulders, knees. You can keep your head out. You might want a hat though. It gets really hot.
Really hot.
Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. You're good. Leave them out. Breathe. All right, here's the big question. How much time do you think you need to explore Egypt?
I really think that answer varies. It's all on you. I've seen people come for 2 weeks and they're just rushed on buses and rushed off buses, and they go to Hatshepsut, they go to this temple, they go to that temple, Luxor, Karnak, and then before they know it, they're back home posting Instagram reels. So I would say to really enjoy Egypt, there's so much to do. It all depends on what you want to do. We really dive into a culture when we go there, and there's so much history with Egypt, there's so much to see. Giving you a number, I would say 2 months. It's a good time.
I think it's as much time as you need. I think it's as much time as you can get, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like even in a year, we didn't see everything we wanted to see.
So much I still want to do.
So we already feel like there's things we need to go back to Egypt to explore. We didn't make it out to Siwa Oasis.
No.
We didn't do the White Desert out there.
No.
Even in Luxor, where we saw a lot, there's still, when I look back through things, I'm like, oh, I didn't get to see that tomb. There was this little spot over here that I didn't get to see. Also, the sites that there are to see are massive. So you can return to the same site multiple times and get a lot out of it.
Yes.
That said, we know not everybody has a year. So there are a couple of itineraries that I think you could make work. I would say that at minimum, you want 2 days in Cairo, in and around. You want to go to Giza, you want to go to Saqqara, and you want to see Islamic Cairo. Then you've got at least 3 days in Luxor. It is impossible to overstate how many things there are to see in Luxor. You're then going to want 2 days in Aswan, and one of those days is going to be entirely taken up with going to Abu Simbel. Abu Simbel is several hours away. You got to get up super early, go down there, explore the site, and then take the 4 hours that it takes to get back to Aswan again. So you definitely need at least that much time. I then tack on an extra couple of days where you could do either the Siwa Oasis that we never made it to but looks incredible, or to go to over to the coast. Go to Marsalam, maybe Hurghada. Hurghada's pretty developed. We liked Marsalam a lot more than we liked Hurghada. You've got the hub in the north. There's a lot along the coast that you could explore and enjoy as well. If you have a couple of weeks to give Egypt, you're in luck. Now you get to really enjoy it and not get tombs and temples fatigue, which is a very real thing.
Tomb and temple fatigue.
Everything starts to blur together. You're not sure whether you were in this place on this day. It can be a lot, especially with the extreme heat around Egypt. So, few weeks. I would still say you're only going to spend a couple of days in Cairo. Cairo is a busy. And the air is thick. I always feel like I get a bit congested when I'm there because there's a lot of dust and pollution in the air. It has a massive population. I think it's more than 20 million people in Cairo. Still you're going to want to cap Cairo at a couple of days. Do Islamic Cairo, head to the Cairo museums. The GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, has started doing some, has started opening slowly, having special events. So definitely check that out and see if that's open by the time you're watching this video. You're going to want to do the Giza pyramids and the Sphinx. Do not miss Saqqara and Dashur. You get that awesome pyramid experience, but with far less crowds. The pyramids of Giza get, I think it's 15 million tourists a year. Saqqara and Dashur still get their tourists, but it is nothing like the experience of visiting the Giza pyramids, especially if you are worried about, if you're not really comfortable saying no to people asking you to buy souvenirs and things. You're gonna get a whole lot less of that at Saqqara and none of it at Dashur. Plus, the Saqqara Step Pyramid is actually the oldest pyramid in the world, so that's pretty cool to see too. Check out our video about that.
Oh, and if they run up to you and say, "Here, free gift for you at the pyramids, free gift, take this. Oh, we love you, free gift." 5 minutes later, they're gonna come back and ask for money. Just remember that.
That's gonna happen.
There's no free gifts.
So after your couple of days in and around Cairo, you might even want to consider staying in Giza. Closer to the pyramids, getting that pyramid view. And Giza International Airport actually opened, so you can potentially fly straight into Giza and avoid having to do the big loop.
I thought you were going to say live at the airport.
Probably don't live at the airport. All right, so then I would give more time to Luxor. Luxor is the gem. Luxor. Egypt's like all gems, so it's kind of hard to point to any one as this. But Luxor has so much, so much. It's really incredible. So give some more time to Luxor. Give yourself time to visit some sites.
West Bank, East Bank too, but mostly West Bank.
Yeah, the majority of the sites are on the West Bank, but Karnak and Luxor Temple are on the East Bank. Stay on the West Bank though. Visit the East Bank, stay on the West Bank, unless you're wanting one of the big hotels. All right, then I would say you get on one of those old sail-style boats, the Dalabiyas.
Or the felucca?
You could do a felucca if you're really adventurous. They don't have toilets, so
Some of them do, but most of them don't.
You will be toileting in or next to the Nile.
With no
buttholes.
Yeah. So the Dalabiyas, those are the luxury ones. And you can go between Luxor and Aswan that way, and that is beautiful. There are also cruise ships that you can take. They're much larger. They tend to dock at the exact same time at the site, so it can be thousands of people at the sites at one time, which does take away from the experience. So whereas if you go on one of your smaller boats, you avoid the times that the cruise ships dock, and then you get to, have that
Instagram versus reality.
Yeah, then you get to have a better experience of that, I'd say. All right, so you're still on this couple of week trip. You've been to Cairo, you've visited Saqqara, you've come to Luxor, you've caught a boat down to Aswan.
Ate a falafel.
You've eaten like 300 falafels by this point. So after that, you're going to be in Aswan. You're going to explore Aswan. Seeing the sights of Aswan, you can reasonably do in a day, like the sights of Aswan itself.
They have like the dam and...
Don't bother with the dam.
Yeah, it's okay.
The Philae Temple, which is the island temple, which is awesome. The Nubian Museum, which is phenomenal. There's the unfinished obelisk that we've never gotten out of the car to see.
We see it, but we don't go to it.
Yeah, anyway, there's a few really nice sites around Aswan, but actually one of the gems of Aswan is just Aswan itself. It is gorgeous there. You can go, you can stay in a Nubian village, you can stay at the old Cataract Hotel if your budget extends that way. It is a beautiful place to just be by the Nile. So I would say, you know, you do a day sightseeing, do a day or two just enjoying the picturesqueness of Aswan. You're still gonna need to do that Abu Simbel trip, which is that super early morning, 4 hours down there, 4 hours back, a couple of hours there. If you take a private car rather than a bus to Abu Simbel, you're gonna be able to go a tiny bit later, and you're gonna avoid the bus crowds.
Yes, the bus crowd.
The bus crowd. Okay, so then you're still on your time. I would say at that point, if you're really adventurous, you're back in Aswan, you jump on a train or a bus and you head north. You go to the sea, or you go to Siwa, or you go into the desert and see the white and the black deserts. If you have a little more time again, you go and visit Egypt's only UNESCO heritage site that is like a natural wonder, which is Wadi al Hitan. Wadi al Hitan is the Valley of the Whales. And here you're gonna go into the desert and you are going to see whale fossils that are millions of years old and have feet. They are the link between the land-dwelling precursors of whales and whales as we know them in our times.
Whales had feet.
Whales had feet, and you can see their feet.
When the aliens came and brought the stones for the pyramid, the whales was on the ships with them.
Yes, so, and then Fayoum as well, like Tunis Village, was
Yes.
really cute.
Very cool.
So if you got that time, Tunis Village, Wadi Al Hitan, gorgeous. So that's your couple of weeks in Egypt. All of that's a win, do it. If you want to come and settle in Egypt, I would still advise you do what we did, Luxor's West Bank. If you want to spend those couple of months, it is a great place to be.
Yes.
You really feel that connection between history and modern Egyptian life. You're still going to have neighbors riding around on donkeys, but also neighbors that have lovely modern cars with air conditioning to take you around when it's too hot to do otherwise.
Or you can ride a donkey.
I never rode a donkey. Did you ride a donkey?
One time.
Did you really ride a donkey?
No, I didn't ride a donkey.
We did not ride a donkey.
No.
All right. Oh, and it's worth pointing out that the snorkeling on the coast, all up and down the coast, we went to Mas Alam, the snorkeling was phenomenal, and you can walk straight out from the beach. So you can take a boat out and go, snorkeling in the deeper ocean, but if you walk straight out from the beach, gorgeous, phenomenal. All right, what would you say is the best way to get around Egypt?
Donkey, of course. If you're there for a short amount of time, you're going to want to take a plane or an overnight train.
Yeah, you can even fly to Abu Simbel, so you
Oh.
skip that 8-hour bus ride.
Yeah, that's cool. You don't have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. If you're there for an extended amount of time, you're going to want to hire a private car that can take you to different sites and everything. You can find a driver fairly easy. Again, we'll put our link in below of our host who has a whole car company and everything. If you're on the west bank of Luxor, hiring a private car, you familiarize yourself with the driver, and this way, they go out with you. If you go on a 2-day trip, they're gonna go get their own hotel and accommodation and wait for you. And in the morning when you're ready, they'll pick you up again and take you out sightseeing and everything. I think the most we had a driver was for 2.5 days, 3 days?
Yeah, I think he was with us for 3 or 4 days, actually.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 days. And each day he would go and get his own hotel, his own food and everything, and meet us right where we needed to be each time. If you're on a budget with more time and less money, you could take day trains or buses. That is a way to get around.
Super inexpensive.
Super inexpensive.
Super inexpensive.
You will have to deal with the fact that there will be a lot of people on these transportation devices.
And a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it takes a while
So
to
say
traverse.
10-hour trip, it's gonna take like 14 hours.
It might.
8-hour trip, it's gonna take like 12 hours.
Watch the video.
What's the best way to get around in Cairo?
All right, so Cairo is a little bit of a different situation than Luxor. In Luxor, you're gonna wanna, if you're really trying to keep things local, you're gonna get a bicycle or you're gonna get the public transportation that's there. But usually in Luxor, you're gonna need a private vehicle. That's totally different in Cairo. In Cairo, you're gonna want Uber. Have your Uber set up, all connected, ready to go. Uber is the way to get around Cairo if you don't have a private guide. If you've organized a guide with a car and everything, then that's how you're getting around. But if you're getting around by yourself, Uber is so much easier than taxis unless you really know your way around Cairo and your Arabic is really good.
Yeah.
Otherwise most of the taxi drivers are not fluent in English, and of course they don't know everywhere in Cairo. It's a massive city.
Yeah, I'm a polyglot, so learning languages for me is very easy. So getting around and traveling becomes very easy for me because I'm a polyglot.
Yeah, he speaks one language, and you're hearing it right now. But yes, Uber, super easy. Obviously, you know exactly how much you're gonna pay. The driver knows exactly where you're going to because you've inputted into their system. Super easy, super affordable. Uber. How are you getting around in Luxor?
How do we get around in Luxor? Donkey.
No donkeys were harmed in the making of this video.
Yeah. So you can get on, they have tuk-tuks, they have motorcycle drivers. I wasn't really down with the whole get down of getting on the back of a motorcycle, especially with no helmet. So I had a tuk-tuk driver. He took care of us all year. I would call him, he's right there at the front door. Go get your fruits, vegetables, groceries, things like that. Another way to get around is hire a private taxi. And if, again, we were on the west bank of Luxor, all up and down the west bank, right by the Nile, are taxi drivers just waiting to take someone anywhere you want to go. If you want to go to a temple, you want to go to the grocery store, anywhere you want to go. We had a private driver also. There was our host connected us with. And anytime we needed to go a little bit further than just in town to get groceries or something like that, he was right there with a 6 to 8 passenger car, air conditioned, brand new. So the way to get around is not just a donkey.
So that's the West Bank. How are we getting between the East and the West Bank?
Now that's a different story. You're gonna need a swimming donkey for that. No, what you're gonna do is you're gonna call someone who has a motorboat that's gonna take you straight across the Nile. I think this was about 20 pounds Egyptian.
I think it went up as the exchange rate fell, so
Yeah.
it's probably, maybe you're looking at 40 pounds or something. You're looking at about $2 for the motorboat if you're doing a private motorboat. It was five pounds if you were doing a shared motorboat.
Yeah.
And you can call them if you have the contact for the motorboat,
Yes.
but you can also just go down to where the boats are and negotiate what your fare is going to be at that point.
You can also take the ferry.
Yeah.
So the ferry is about 3 pounds for locals and 5 pounds for non-locals. It's not bad. It comes at a certain time, so you'll have to wait sometimes, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes for the boat to come back, or you could be sitting on it and they wait till it gets to capacity. When I say capacity, it's packed. But it's only 5 pounds. I said bring it. It's only 5 pounds, so that's not bad.
Yeah, and that one goes, the ferry goes between the Luxor Museum, which is something else you can see on the East Bank.
Yes.
And kind of the main downtown area of the West Bank.
Right in Jazeera.
Yeah, so it's pretty convenient.
Mark from California sent us this. How is the weather in Egypt?
Thanks, Mark. Hope you're enjoying the California weather. The weather in Egypt is scorchingly hot. And when I say scorchingly hot, I mean it is going to get in excess of 50 degrees Celsius. and may never drop below 40 degrees Celsius in the heat of the summer. All right, so 9 months out of the year, it is hot. Capital H, capital O, capital T, hot. It is so hot. It is blisteringly hot. Do not walk outside with no shoes on. Ask me how I know. It's hot.
Ask me how I know. I burnt my toes.
Yes, I really did.
She burnt her toes. She's got 8 feet now, 8 toes now.
I got 8 feet.
She got 8 toes.
All right, so it is hot for 9 months. It is scorching hot for 6 months, and it is like a furnace for 3. And then there's the winter, and the winter actually can get a little chilly. Most of the houses are designed to accommodate those 9 ridiculously hot months. And so in those 3 cool months, you might find yourself needing extra blankets, needing really quite warm pajamas. You're fine on the days where it warms up in the middle of the day and the sun's out, then you're really like still gonna be fairly warm. But it's those night times, it's those early mornings, that's when you're actually gonna feel a little cold there in Egypt. So if
you stand in the shade.
Yes.
If you stand in the shade, you're going to be freezing, but just come out of the shade and you'll be burning.
Yeah. So if you're coming over the winter, bring some warm pajamas, bring some warm night clothes, but still some cooler clothes to wear during the day. If you're coming at any other time of the year, expect to be hot.
Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated.
Wear, cool loose clothing. Bring a hat, sunscreen, all that jazz. Definitely consider becoming
all that jazz.
Definitely become an early bird and a night owl. Use the middle of the day for sleeping and get up early.
I wasn't sleeping during the day. You were sleeping during the day?
Yeah, regularly. But I was also getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the sites.
Wow.
How was the internet?
How was the internet? So, in the beginning, there was Earth. And Earth for...
Okay. It varies. All right, so it's not as fast as some other places we've been, at least, when you're talking about Upper Egypt, Luxor, Aswan, etc. We had Vodafone SIM cards.
Okay. Yes.
We paid about $12 a month in Egyptian pounds, and we got about 20 gigabytes. Every month there was like a new deal though.
Bundle.
Yeah.
Bundle.
So we never paid exactly the same amount for exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
But it averaged to about $12 a month for about 20 gigs of data. So we always had that as a backup. At home, in our accommodation, we actually had 2 different kinds of internet.
Yes.
One initially we had that was faster but a lot more expensive, and then we moved over to one that was less expensive, significantly less expensive, but a bit slower.
Yeah.
They didn't have any unlimited plans. So for a family like us that uses a lot of data, it was a significant amount of our budget to keep the internet going at home. It was not inexpensive. It wasn't horrendous. It still, I think, was either the same or a little less than we paid in the US, but much more than we paid in almost any other country we visited.
We're talking like maybe $70-$80 a month.
Yeah. Speed-wise, yes, we could watch Netflix. Yes, we could go on a Zoom call. Certain times were better for that than others. In the evening when everybody was on the internet, everything would slow down a lot. But yeah, it's doable, but it's not as fast as you're gonna have had in other places. I think obviously, if you're talking about Cairo or Alexandria, then you're probably able to get much higher speeds. But everywhere else in the country, it's doable to do those, more data-driven things, those more data-intensive things, but you're not going to get super fast speeds.
Yes.
I think that about wraps it up. We wanted to give a couple more pieces of advice before we, a couple more pieces of just general advice before we close things out. All right, what would be one of your big tips about travel in Egypt?
Travel in Egypt is safe with children. You just have to keep some small Egyptian pounds on hand so you can use the toilets and also tip. Don't forget to use the buttholes. What are some additional tips or tricks that you know about Egypt?
For me, for sure, the absolute key one is to get up early. Most of the sites around Egypt open at 6 a.m. A couple of them open at 7. That's the time to be there.
How you get up early and you were sleeping in the day, you said?
I said I got up early and then I had a nap later in the day. So I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning in the summer, and I would be at the site at 6 o'clock when it opened. And there's 2 huge advantages to this, okay? The first massive advantage to getting up and being there at that time is that you don't risk heat exhaustion. By the time we would leave the site, 2.5 hours later, like 8:30 in the morning, it was already blisteringly hot. So the idea of being there at noon or even at 10 a.m. was not at all appealing if I was there in the summer. So that's definitely true for the hottest months of the year. Get there early so that you don't end up with heat stroke. 6 o'clock. Be there at 6 o'clock. Don't leave your house accommodation at 6 o'clock. Be there at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
The other major advantage is that 6 o'clock, you're most likely to have it to yourself.
Yes.
Things can also be quiet in the afternoon, but they're more likely to be hot in the afternoon. So 6 o'clock in the morning, you're avoiding the heat and you're avoiding the crowds. Again, by the time 8:30 rolled around, we'd been there for 2.5 hours. We'd seen everything. The buses started coming in and the heat was there and the crowds were there. So if you can switch your schedule, and then, I enjoyed those early mornings and you enjoyed the evenings.
Yes.
That was more how you enjoyed your time out of the heat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so get up super early, go and hit up the sites, go back to your accommodation. If you got a pool, maybe take a swim, have a nap, or just chill, and then go back out when the sun goes down. And that's the time where you won't be able to get into most of the sites, most of them close, but that's the time where you get to experience the other amazing parts of Egypt, the people, the culture, festivals, things that go on in the evening. In the summer, it's such a night culture that we had our air conditioner that was installed at midnight.
Yeah.
That's when the people were there to install it.
At midnight.
Because you can't do anything in the middle of the day. Anything else?
No, that seems to be it. Wait. Learn a few words in Arabic.
Oh, yeah.
I would suggest you learn left, right, up, down, good morning, good afternoon, good night, hello, goodbye, and how much. Also very important is where is the bathroom. You need to know this in most countries, but I think these are some things that will definitely help you around Egypt. And once you learn where the bathroom is, you're gonna know where the buttholes is.
I'm sorry we said buttholes so many times.
Say
Forgive
it
us.
again.
All right, that's it, guys. Let us know if there's any questions that we missed. If there's anything else about travel in Egypt that you have absolutely wanted to know, we'll try and respond to any comments and we'll try and respond to any questions in the comments that you might have. So leave us a comment, let us know if you've been to Egypt, let us know if your experience was similar to our experience, if you have any more advice.
Yes, that's it. Just don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and join us for our next amazing adventure. If you don't know, now you know.